This is video 3, relational uncertainty and communication in on again, off again romantic relationships, assessing changes and patterns across recalled turning points. This is the literature review section. Relational uncertainty is the degree of confidence people have in their relationships and their perceptions of involvement in close relationships. So that basically means relational uncertainty is where you see the relationship going and how much confidence you have in the stability of the future of the relationship. Uncertainty is tied to low relational quality and contributes to turbulence. And it's also tied to topic avoidance, indirectness, and negative appraisals, which are all poor communication topics. And it is obviously a main characteristic for on again, off again relationships. Turning points to look at it through turning points, that would give you a different vantage point because you could understand changes in relational uncertainty throughout on and off relationships. So changes in uncertainty between turning points correspond with changes in communication, directness, and satisfaction. So the more uncertain you are about the relationship, the poorer communication skills you have. There's an association between relational uncertainty and restricted communication, which basically means if you're uncertain about the relationship, then you're less likely to be more direct and upfront with what you want and what you're going to talk about. So there's like a lack of communication in the relationship, making the relationship even lower quality than it was before. So this is the methodology section. They had a sample of 228 participants and were recruited online from Amazon, and they were getting paid 50 cents for doing the survey. The ages ranged from 18 to 61, and they were mostly female participants. And relationship length lasted from 1 to 362 months. Numbers of renewals from 1 to 10. And then it was measured by having questions for each turning point. So they were asked about each turning point in their relationship, and they had to complete an item for directness and communication satisfaction on a 7-point Likert scale. It was done this way to prevent fatigue during the surveying. Uncertainty measures were in 3 parts: self, partner, and relationship. They were also measured on the Likert scale. For each turning point, they had to identify what the transition was, and this was then conducted. They then conducted a regression for each participant with time regressed onto relational uncertainty. This then provided a constant, the linear trend, and the residual or standard error. Openness was measured on a 10-item self-disclosure index on that same 7-point Likert scale, and they were asked the number of breakups and turning points in their relationships. Okay, so this is the results section. If uncertainty decreased regarding conversations on turning points, then directness and communication satisfaction increased. So the more uncertain you were, I think I said that wrong. If uncertainty decreased regarding conversations on turning points, then directness and communication satisfaction increased. They found a concurrent association between uncertainty and communication. The linear trends of relational uncertainty were not associated with the current view of the relationship. Greater fluctuations in uncertainty were associated with a more current openness with on and off partners. Those who reported no or few breakups relative to their total turning points and had a low level of fluctuation and low levels of fluctuations of uncertainty had the highest levels of intimacy. So the more stable your relationship was, the more intimate you were with your partner. Then I have to say that lower fluctuations in uncertainty tied to the more confidence you had in the relationships, because uncertainty means lack of confidence in your relationships. That was pretty expected. Then the findings suggested that fluctuations in relational uncertainty might be expected and not particularly addressing in on and off relationships, because it is like, it's what they're getting. They know what they're getting themselves into. Partners who recounted wider fluctuations in commitment across turning points did not report significantly different relational qualities than other on and off trajectories, which like goes against their hypothesis. So although certain turning points might increase uncertainty in on and off partners, they see that as the intrinsic part of the relationship. They see that as what built their relationship and how they get to negotiate and redefine the relationships during transitions. So this study is basically saying that that on and off partners use relational uncertainty to continue their relationship rather than hinder it. And that was video 3.